What's up, YouTube? So I'm here going to discuss my thoughts on the DDJ-SX. I haven't made a video in a while because I haven't seen anything that promising to make a video about. So this is going to be an honest review. I'm going to show you the pros and cons of the unit. Um, I had the S1 before the SSX, and I can tell you I hated it. Um, the sound quality was horrible. It was absolutely horrible, and the microphone had a delay. It was all types of things. I would say, it was a good first try for Pioneer, but definitely not something that I'm used to. Since I'm used to the 1200s, and I got the 2000s over here. Like I'm pretty much used to the pro stuff. So to impress me would take a lot. But this unit's doing a pretty good job, I should say. So let's get right to it. So the pros about it, the faders all 100%. These guys are pretty good. They have just about enough resistance. One thing I do hate, since I'm used to the 900 mixer and 800 mixer, is they put the damn sampler in the middle of the mixer. I'm used to maybe DJing with two fingers and going up and down. Pretty much like that. Sometimes, and you don't really have that option. I guess that's something I got to get used to. But again, I think they could have done. I think that me personally, I think the sampler could have been a knob rather than a slider. But I'm pretty sure, if enough people complain about that, they'll probably be in Mark II or, whatever other model they seem to come out with. Yeah, I mean, you do get the booth monitor, which was a step up from the S1, the master volume, and I will tell you, with 100% confidence, this mixer has great sound quality, like great sound quality. I haven't used it out in the club yet, but I will tell you that this mixer, honestly, is pretty darn close to the 900 as far as sound quality goes, which is a huge improvement from the S1. Huge. As far as the pads go, down here, you got your hot cues and all that stuff, which you can see a million videos about that on YouTube, but the feel of them is really good. And what a lot of people don't tell you is you can actually control the velocity of the pressing. I mean, these are all touch sensitive to a degree of how hard you press it. And how hard you press it, you can actually adjust those values in DDJ-SX utility mode. So you can actually change all that stuff around. It's pretty neat. I actually changed the way this spins in the utility mode. Just a couple of those features that you actually have to power off the unit and put it into a special mode. So those are things you can't really do on the fly, unfortunately. I guess you would call that a con, but most of the stuff I would think you would set up before going out on a gig. The one thing I do like though is the effects. The effects do sound great. These are near DJM 900 quality as far as effects go. On the anyone that's using 800 or 900, you have those. You have the lower right effects button that you push to activate the effect. This is like having 3 of those buttons per channel. And you can share the bank. Like this side is labeled to 2, this side is labeled to 1. So you can actually switch and label them, or you could just say no effects at all at that channel, and you can assign both at the same time. So that's good. The EQ, not as good as the 900, but pretty darn close. The filter, I would say it's close to the 900, but again, this is a different type of filter. Has a low pass and a high pass, so it's not it's the same, but it's not. I mean, you really have to play with it to understand what I'm saying. The one thing I don't like about it is sometimes if I would take the the bass out by turning this all the way to the right. And then when I really want to do a drop, I just I deactivate the filter on the 900 and it drops pretty good. Here you gotta, you gotta turn the knob, make sure it's in the middle. Just another one of those nuisances. Just being used to the 900. The dual deck mode I really don't use. I don't really use it for platter or for decks yet. I mean, I may use them in the future. Okay, so the cons. Here are the cons. About the mixer. About the whole entire unit, really. Needle search. This is a big problem to me because this is right by the effects. The needle search. The problem is, and you guys, if you guys are used to the 2000s or the 900s, when you're playing a song, this doesn't work. The needle search doesn't work. You could, if it's set to, I believe you have to put it in lock mode, but it doesn't work. It doesn't mess up your things. And the one thing about the 2000 is, there's really not much you could, press on the top of it. Here, you got all your effects here, okay? And it's I've done it probably about five or six times now in the last couple of days, where I'm pushing a button and I accidentally hit the needle search. And as you can see, and I have lock playing deck on, as you can see, you push a button, boom, all this stuff starts going nuts. And it's not good, especially when you're in a vibe in a club, the whole crowd's going nuts. When you push this, it could ruin the entire vibe. Hopefully, Pioneer Serato comes out with a fix for that. I can't imagine that being a hard fix, as far as maybe a firmware update or a software update. One thing I noticed too on here, only on the left platter. This may be just my unit. Sometimes this doesn't scratch. Like it will go into, if I start moving this around, it'll go into pitch bend mode, and the scratching just ceases to work. And I go in here and I make the adjustments to the platter. Nothing seems to work, and then all of a sudden it starts working again. I've read online that that could be due to the fact that there's moisture on the platter. But if it was moisture on the platter, I would imagine it would stop. But it didn't stop. It just wasn't working, and I had to tap it a couple of times to get it to work. Could be just my unit, so who knows? I may just return this one and get a whole new one, since I do have 14 days to do that. But other than that, the unit is a good unit. You're not going to see these, I would think, in a New York City club. Just because it's reliability on software. The one thing that is really cool with this unit opposed to the S1 is the auxiliary inputs. As you can see, I got my SL4 box with the turntables hooked up, in the back here, so I could use, my Serato Scratch Live within this mixer. One thing that hasn't happened to me yet is a crash, and that's really what I actually want to happen. Strangely enough, because I want to see how you get out of it. I want to see if the mixer still works when you have a crash. If this unit freezes, will the sound still keep going through the analog? I imagine it would, since this just seems to be a standalone mixer. But with this kind of stuff, even with Serato Scratch Live, always have a backup, and this type of thing, you never know when your software crashes, or anything can crash. I've had my 2000s crash before. It's rare, but it does happen, and you always gotta be prepared for that. I would love to see this unit work with Serato Scratch Live natively. One thing I do believe that it will one day is because of this down here. I see the two jacks except phono lines. I don't know a lot of DJs a lot of mixers now these days, don't even come with phono inputs. This comes with two, so I'm assuming that one day this is going to accept timecode vinyl. Again, I'm just guessing, since it does accept phono and line. So maybe one day you'll be able to use SSL with this. And one indication of that, usually when they come out with a controller that has, it's dedicated to a piece of software, it says Serato Itch, or it says tractor, or it says something like that. This one doesn't say. This just says Serato. You know, it doesn't say Serato DJ. It doesn't say anything like that. So, in my opinion, I think that this controller one day might be able to control Scratch Live natively, which would be awesome. You know, but Serato DJ is still a good software. There is a couple things. You know, sometimes, you know, when I'm making a really quick mix, I don't have time to put on the headphones. You know, there is an extended mode here, which is great. You know, because I have a 13-inch MacBook. I don't have, you know, a large screen or anything like that. You know, they kind of missed out on the waveform here. There's a waveform that shows you, you know, basically where the songs match up. It shows up in the horizontal view, but it doesn't show up in the extended view, which I think you would use it the most, you know, since you have all this, you know, you have this real estate. Again, I think they're going to fix that in a future update. But yeah, I think this unit is good. Is it worth $1,000? It's up to you. This is definitely not a toy like I thought the S1 was. This is definitely, you know, it's metal. It's not plastic. It's not. You don't feel like you're, you know, using you know, a toy, really. I mean, this thing is pretty solid. So, you know, I'm gonna test this out for, you know, I'm probably gonna take it out to Hoboken where a DJ at and see how it works for the night. And you know, if I have any problems with that, I'll probably leave you a message in the comments. You know, but so far it seems pretty good. So, you know, hopefully this review helps you guys. If you have any questions, just leave comments. Thanks, guys. Bye.